Make that a little bit bigger. Oh, subtitles with movies. Yeah, that's actually a good way of learning a different language, is to read the subtitles, especially as there's so many really good foreign movies on at the minute. Okay. At university, you have to prepare for exams. In order to do this, you need to be able to, for writing your assignments, for doing your dissertations, for studying, you need to be able to read appropriate sources. So it's a case of finding what sources you need to read and then how to read them properly. And at the end of this, you can I'll put this in the chat just now, because you won't get it through the PowerPoint. The Open Learning from Open University is really good, and they've got all sorts of things. So if you have time to go back and click on that link, and that'll take you through to a short course. So you need to read widely. You need to gain an understanding of a subject area, and you'll have a reading list for your module, and all the reading on your module is available from the GCU library. So on the GCU library website. So avoid going onto Google, as it were, because all the stuff in Google is not necessarily authentic and valid and reliable. So it's a case of using the correct search terms. You can develop lots of different strategies, so approach it with a critical eye. So remember, you're the critical reader. So when you read something, don't just read it. You need to read something with a question. It's not possible to read everything in subjects on your reading list, so you need to be very selective. And there's another one that I will also put in the chat. I mean, sometimes reading can be a bit tedious. So it's all about being selective, and there's a few little tips and tricks that come up that will help. There's the second reading thing. So identify the main purpose. So I've seen quite a lot of your coursework questions and your coursework titles. So when you get a coursework title, it might be quite a few sentences long, your rubric, as it were. You need to look at your question, or the question that's been set out. You need to ask yourself, what is the topic? What is about? The limitation, meaning what's it specifically for? Is it for engineering practice in China or globally or the UK? That's the limitation. And an instruction word. What's it asking you to do? Is it asking you to describe, to critically evaluate, to outline, to critically analyze? So you need to identify the purpose. Once you have that question in your head, then you can move on a bit further. Why are you reading this? Okay, what do you need to know? How much do you already know? How will you know when you've got enough? And choose your sources selectively. So have all these things in your head. So have your piece of paper there, your question, with all the information in front of you. So then you'll know you can be much more selective, because it's very tempting to think, my assignment is about construction management regulations during COVID. So you just go to GCU Discover, you just type in a whole load of words. It brings up 4,500. You need to be really selective. So spend time thinking about what you need to revise. If you're looking for specific information, this can be done quickly using the index of chapters. So if it's an online book with chapters, look through the chapters. If you're going to the library, you can do the same thing. You pick up your book and look through the chapters. Examine the structure. So when you're on an online article or chapters, examine the structure of it. Read the topic and terminated paragraphs to gain an overview. So can anybody put in the chat, if you've got a paragraph, where is the topic sentence? Where's the topic sentence of the paragraph? Good, it's the first one. Yes, good, it's the first sentence. So the topic sentence will give you an indication. It's like the marker. It will guide you through it. So the topic sentence is the first sentence, and then it's developed, and then it usually concludes into something else. It's like if it's a really long, in fact, I don't really have any relevant magazines here or journals. and it develops. So it can be the topic, can be the first one, and then it goes into the end of the article, end of the chapter. You'll have the concluding one. Scan the text for keywords related to your interest. So can you type in the chat thing, type in some keywords which you look for, which are relevant. So say whatever, because you're all doing different things. Type in a keyword or something that you could be looking out for, or which is the topic for your data models. Okay. Anybody else? Strategy. Strategies, yeah, strategy is quite a wide, generic word. Structural integrity, fire testing. Yes, I recognize a few from your fire safety. So when you're doing through that, heat dissipation, when you're going through that, you need to be looking out for all those keywords that you have in your head, which will help you kind of formulate your assignment. And we'll go on to another tip for finding keywords in a minute. Look for signpost words to indicate how the text is organized. So signpost words are things like furthermore, or conversely, or firstly, secondly, thirdly. So conversely is a good one because that means that there's some kind of critical analysis in it, or there's some kind of argument going on. Or read the abstract. Where does an abstract come when you're looking at an article? Where does the abstract come? Yes, it actually, Donald, it actually comes at the beginning. So I did my master's a few years ago, well, quite a few years ago, and I do remember going through a whole load of articles and just having a really good look at what came first, and it's the abstract. So the abstract is kind of like a précis, or the golden offering of what's going to come up in the whole the rest of it. So an abstract is a fantastic way of just quickly read through it and just find out whether the abstract contains anything that you'll want to know about. Then you can ditch if it's not. Examine the structure of the writing. Okay, so skim the information. If you're looking for specific information like fire testing or heat dissipation, okay, look through for those, skim through for specific information, or scan the information for the overall gist. Pick out the topic sentences, the first one, identify the signpost words. Firstly, however, clearly, take cues from the punctuation. If it goes, or the colon there, you know there's going to be a list that follows. Okay, so have a look for colons and semicolons. Don't read too slowly, because that makes you lose concentration. So when you're reading something, how many of you read every word? When you read through something, do you read every word? You do, Victoria. Good grief. And does it take you a long time? Yes, no, sometimes. Okay. Right. So I think one of the key things is learn, surprisingly enough, depending on what you're doing, because you're reading for different purposes, surprisingly enough, is not to read. Yeah, it takes too long to read every word, unless you've chosen a specific article. I'm going to call them articles, or a specific chapter that contains quite complex information. It can sometimes be a little bit time consuming to read every word. So you need to build up the techniques to scan words. So you scan kind of groups of words, and that will take you through it a little bit easier. Or when you very first read the article, and I'll see if I've got I don't really have an example here. This is my workshops list. Find the topic sentence or the topic word and just scan through it to find the specific information. When you find that something is going to be useful, then you can go back and look at it. But you must have a purpose there. So this is one of the this is the first thing you'll do. So when you get your text, so say you've pulled something up in GCU Learn and you've used the Discover thing, you think, oh, this looks quite good. You will look at the abstract, then you can look at the topic sentence, so the first bit, the introduction, you think, oh, this looks not too bad. And you've checked that it's current, so it's not 50 years old and it's relevant and it's authentic, etc., etc. Then you'll skim through it to try and see whether it's actually going to be useful for you or not. So you basically speed read, where you get the general overview. This can be done by reading the introduction, conclusion, headings. So chapter headings are really good. And I will put up this link from Open Learn. Okay, so there's a link for Open Learn. But nowadays, or today, people are more used to reading like short bite-sized chunks of things. So why do you think people are now more used to reading small little bits of information? Why do you think people are more used to reading like little bits of information rather than big long screeds? Yes, due to Facebook and short stories, and everybody reads on their phone. Yeah, exactly. So so media bombards us from absolutely every single direction. So you go to sleep, you read your phone, you wake up, you check your phone. There's always, you've got different things going on. I've still got an iPad, I'll have to say, so I've got that. I've got my laptop here, I've got my phone there, I've got another screen, although I do control it. So your brain is more used now to taking short bits of information. So when you are looking through long bits of text, you just need to do it in little kind of bite-sized chunks. So just focus what you're looking for, and then just kind of read through it and try and pick out those little bits. So your brain probably isn't used to reading lots of things, which is why skimming is quite good. So you can just get that and skim through it and see what you need to find out. Scanning. When you're looking for something specific, like the results of a study or experiment results, or a specific piece of legislation that you're looking for, or a date, or a country, or a law or something, when you have to read more carefully, you'll be scanning the text for important information such as names or figures. So you may have skimmed through it first, and then you think, oh, I need to look at this. You'll go back and look for specific information. So let your eyes run quickly over a chapter or article before you commit yourself to studying the whole text. And that link there is the same as the previous one. Yes, that's just what I was coming up to. In fact, it's not here, but yeah, I'll come back to that, thanks. So vary the pace of your reading, as sometimes you'll only need to pick out the main points, while other times you have to check meanings and explanations more carefully. And don't forget to make a note of all the authors you are referring to. Okay, so you'll all be including references. You'll all be including references to other authors who you are using in your assignments. Okay, so as you're doing it, don't forget to get the name of the author. So if you're reading an article and how do you remember who's written it? What's your kind of technique as you read through something? Type it in the chat. How do you pick out or remember who's written it? What technique do you use? If you have one. Yes, you've got referencing, but say you're reading an article and you've got lots of articles open. How do you remember who's written it? How do you get, okay, good. You pin it to RefWorks. Okay, good. So you've all got your various techniques. Yep, you pin it to RefWorks. I think what I used to do was, I'd be on my Microsoft Word and I would be reading it, have the author, and then I'd take the author's name and put it under the thing, and then reference it properly afterwards. Because there's nothing worse than going through and realizing you haven't got the author's name there. So this is really important. Okay, save the page. Yeah. So this is really important. So so make notes. So therefore, so making notes comes under the thing of summarizing and paraphrasing, because you don't want to be copying anything, obviously, from anything you've read. And apart from referencing it, it's a case of putting things in your own words. So this is one of the most effective ways. Against popular belief, it's not really necessary, like we used to do at school or whatever, to read every word and underline it and highlight it and all those kind of things. That's actually ineffective. So what they say you should do now is read your page really quickly, whether it be online or on paper, most probably online. Read it very quickly once. Then you turn away and you think, what was that about? And then you make notes, either open up another screen or on another piece of paper. Make down a few notes about what it was about, because it's really easy to read something and not have a clue what it was about. So you need to read it, turn away, make notes about what you can remember what was in it. You might find you can't remember anything. Go back and read it again. So close the notes and try to remember what you've just read. You can, and then speak it out loud. So how many of you talk out loud when you've read something? Good. Well, I think it's something to, I mean, you probably need to be in a room on your own, unless your flatmates, whoever else you're with doesn't mind. But it's actually really effective. Yeah, it is. It's really effective, particularly if you are English as a second language speaker, and you might actually be unsure about how it's pronounced, or even a British speaker. Yes, good. I was just going to say, only when you don't understand. That's a really great way of understanding it, is speaking out loud, because very often we can read words that we don't use and we're actually unsure about the pronunciation of it. So it's really good. So read your text, turn away, write a few notes. If you get enough, turn back to your paper, read it again, make a few notes, and then try and recite what you've read out loud. Read it again, turn away to add to it. It's basically summarizing the text. So when you do that, it is actually, surprisingly enough, a lot less time consuming than painstakingly going over things and writing it in your own language, writing it in your own words. So go to it, and then you've got your interpretation of it. Okay, so remember that when you're writing something, you're summarizing or paraphrasing somebody else's ideas, but it's your slight turn on it. So it's your interpretation of it, expressed in your own words with the reference of the author there. So you'll have your own style of writing. So it's very important to, to keep your own style of writing. So I started using this a while ago, and I don't know whether, so you can check whether you've got it. Use Immersive Reader in Microsoft 365. You can use it, and this is all helps. Use it to customize your display, e.g. to change background colors and alter spacing between letters and lines, because sometimes the text is so small that you get sore eyes. Immersive Reader will also read the text aloud and change the playback speed. So for any of you who have difficulties in reading it, that's also a great way. It reads the text out loud to you. So everybody has different learning styles. Some people learn best by looking at things. Some people learn best by hearing things, by hearing other people. So that might work well for quite a few people. Reduce distractions. So if there's a racket going on outside or in the next room, try and remove yourself from that, because it's too stressful otherwise. Reduce your eye strain by increasing the font size to 14 and by narrowing the window. So narrow your screen window. Poor lighting. If you can, read using a lamp that can shine directly onto the text. Reading in poor light causes eye strain. So how many of you think that your eyes are affected by reading online? Okay. Oh dear. Do you both? A lot of people. So, how many of you wear glasses? Yeah. Yep. So, yeah. So I've actually got glasses, but I'll have to say I don't really wear them very often because you can get glasses. We can get glasses for reading text, which aren't automatically the same as the glasses you need for reading online, because there's a different thing within the lens apparently, and it's more expensive. I can't sleep for about 2 hours afterwards if reading in the evening. Yeah. Yep. Okay. Nelson, do you mean? Okay. Yeah. It's important. Nelson, do you mean that your eyes are permanent or your eyesight is permanent? Okay, your glasses, not your eyes. Yeah. So reading online isn't as nice. So reading like a book. So how many of you read like novels for fun? Yeah. Okay, very good. Not keen on them. I suppose it depends what kind of books you've got. So I've got a pile of 10 books behind me, none of which have started. So I read lots of different things, but I'm going to start them. So you need to work out a strategy. So reading online, they always say that get up and move away after 20 minutes, or read a section, make some notes, go back to it, because otherwise you'll just use, you could easily squander 20 minutes by not reading it properly. If anybody's has limited vision or requires software to assist with academic reading, should contact the disability team on disability@gcu.ac.uk. So the most commonly used software package to assist with academic reading and writing at GCU is called Read and Write Gold. And one of the features is the ability to have the text read aloud, and staff and students can have access to that. It's a little bit more time consuming, but worth it in the long run. So here we have it again, reading online resources. Often the text is divided into screen-sized chunks so you can read it all. So often text is made specifically for online so you can read it. And then somebody said before, which actually I didn't know till quite a few months ago, the skimming method could be accelerated if you use the find function Control F in MS Word to skip to keywords. So how many of you knew this fact of the Control F? Okay, so Nelson, go to open something very quickly. So if you must be on Google, so open something very quickly on the internet, or copy and paste it onto Word, and then do Control F and the bar will appear. And then if you use that bar, and you can type in something, which is really useful. So have a go at that and see if you can find something. And sit with your eyes roughly level with the midpoint of the screen, and take frequent breaks from the screen. So how many of you are currently working on laptops? Mm-hmm. Okay. So yeah, everybody will be. So if you look at the laptop now, are your eyes level with the midpoint of the screen? No. Okay. So yes. So your screen is probably lower. The screen is probably lower. So yeah, so if you were to look at your eye, if you were to put your eyes forward, you'd probably be on the wall opposite. So that's something to bear in mind. So you should really move your laptop up, or put it on a laptop stand. So all these little bits help to kind of make it more user friendly. So when you're bear in mind that when you're reading isn't passive. Reading should be like an active pursuit. It's an active pursuit. So you're reading for a specific purpose. You're not just reading for the sake of reading. You're reading for a specific purpose. When you're doing your coursework, when you're doing your dissertation, when you're doing your assignments, the value of the reading can be seen in the fact that it enhances what you're trying to say. So all your resources have different functions. Some may be proving results of something, some may be disputing something, something may be agreeing with something. They've all got different functions. So critical reading is like being a judge at a trial. You have to cross-examine the arguments of the others, but remember the arguments are subjective. Okay, so it's not necessary, sorry, to believe everything that you read. Okay, you can be really critical. You may have somebody who puts forward like an ill-informed judgment about something, or you may find somebody who puts across some reasoning which isn't the reasoning that you're trying to put forward. So everybody has different reasons, and every text has a claim. So every piece of text you're reading is for a specific purpose. So something can be purely factual, something can be defending something, something can be arguing something, something can be persuading you. So sales pitches are persuading you to do something, so they'll be used in that kind of language. So if you're reading like home care magazines or something, those magazines or those journals will be putting forward something to persuade you to buy those products. When you're reading the articles, are these claims backed up by evidence? So whoever's putting forward something, are they actually putting forward something that you believe, or is there credibility? Is it a result of a study? Who's written the article? Is that person in the jail for something, or have they written loads more things? Are there any deviations between this and other texts? So if you have a text that said something, do you find similar texts, or is it the only one of its kind? And what reasons are given for those claims? So after you cross-examine all the pieces of evidence, you can decide critically whether the argument is valid and relevant. It doesn't have to be an argument. So can you put in the chat, I'm just interested to know what kind of things you'll be looking for claims for. What kind of things are you searching for? Or are you just searching for background information? What kind of things are you looking for? The truth. Yeah, so you're looking for that. So Mohammed, where do okay, facts that can be proven, a perspective. Okay, good. So perspectives are good things. Facts can be proven. Yeah. Yes, it's always good to look for different perspectives and things, which is why statistics and where they come from. Okay, yes. So that might be, yes, so statistics are really factual, and also obviously, and also when you're looking for statistics, it's also really important to see where they actually come from. Yeah, and evidence, contrast divisions, to understand the facts stated. Okay, the contrast divisions, which is why concepts, which is why reporting verbs, which is why reporting verbs are really useful. So can somebody give me examples of what reporting verbs might be? What do I mean by, yes, kind of, yeah. Reporting verbs are things like stated, critiqued. Yes, reporting verbs are ones that give you evidence. So it says the author proves, the author states, the author disputes. So when you're looking for things in journals, look very carefully at the verbs. Okay, look very carefully. In fact, I might have an article here. It's not such a good example there, but when you're looking for verbs within articles, and pieces of evidence, look very carefully at the way that the evidence has been put forward, and that will give you an indication of, it's like the author's bias. So that's why you need to make sure that the article or the source you're looking for is exactly what you want. It's not saying something different. So using a step-by-step approach when you're reading will help you to be critical while you're reading. So it's very easy to read passively, but you need to be the judge. You're the judge in the trial, as it were. So you can look very much into exactly what you're reading it for. So you don't have to, I mean, you trust what you read, but you don't have to take in. It doesn't have to be relevant for you. What are you expecting to read? Then you identify, what are the main ideas? Why am I reading this? Is this going to give you exactly what you want? Clarify anything you want. Resolves confusion and look up any unclear terms or phrases. So how many of you use a dictionary if you don't understand anything? Good. It's good to, yeah, you should. Yeah. The only thing about, if possible, I shall put up, hold on a second, I'll get a dictionary from here. The dictionary. So now, the word Google Translate makes my hair stand up on end. So Google, so if you want to translate a word from your own language, if you want to translate a word from your own language into English, you need to use a proper dictionary, because Google Translate doesn't translate. Google Translate is just a database of words that are stuck there. They're not updated. So if you were to Google Translate a whole, yes, exactly, Nelson, it's completely inaccurate. So I've got lots of experience of reading Google Translate things. So if you Google Translate a whole paragraph you put maybe from your own language into English, it comes out, it doesn't make any sense, and neither does it join up with what's been said previously, what's going to come up after. So try and use a proper dictionary wherever. I mean, I use dictionaries. I use Cambridge and I also use Oxford, so it's good to pick up your vocabulary. Yeah, so try and avoid Google Google Translate wherever possible, and I think Babylon's the one. So, and then when you review your strategies, did you understand the main principles of the argument? So look through things quickly first of all to catch what you want. Think what you're looking for. Has it answered what you want to? And I will put this one up. Okay, so that's Read Critical Reading from the University of Toronto. So that's a really good one. And I think that's the end of it now. Yep. So has anybody got any more questions about reading? I would just say have a real purpose for reading. Make sure you know exactly what you're wanting to read, what you expect to find out, and don't panic and don't think I'm just going to read loads of different things and one of them might answer what I want to look for. Yes, they are, Paul. I will send you the slides. Wait, I'll have to make a note of that. Paul Daly. You're doing the fire risk course. Am I right? Yeah, you see I've got memory, which is still there.
It's a good memory, Mel.
Right, honestly, sometimes I actually remember specific things that aren't of huge, that aren't really important to me all the time, but some little things that come in and I do remember, you know, facts and things like that. So I shall email you the slides, and also a recording of this will be available, and I'm just going to switch the recording off now.